Hello, everyone. My name is Henri Makembe, and I'm CEO of Do Big Things. And welcome to Do Big Talks, where we discuss the latest trends in the ever-evolving world of digital advocacy. On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on video, and more video. And we have with us today Dean Levitan, who's a senior advisor here at Do Big Things. And very excited to be talking to Dean today. Dean has been working in the campaign world for about 20 years and has done everything up and down the ballot, including for Bill Bradley for president way back when in the day. Dean, welcome. Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Henry. I think anybody watching this is probably now counting back and being like, I think it's been more than 20 years. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I've gotten to watch a couple of these, so it's you do a great job with them. So it's nice to be on one. I started off in political campaigns, and when I started running campaigns, we didn't even have websites. So it's been quite an evolution, and I think that's been the best thing is you get to see the evolution, be part of that evolution. And after I got off the road, I went to work for a mail firm called MSHC Partners, and in 2004 they were the first firm in the Democratic Party to host what was called digital, which was essentially websites and banner ads. But and then YouTube changed that whole world. But yeah, been there, seen it, done it. It's been fun.
Fair enough. Thank you for that. I am not going to ask you what was your favorite campaign, so we're not going to get any trouble doing that. But I am going to ask you, you've been doing this for 2 decades. How have you seen the role of video change over the last 2 decades?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I first started, it was really about getting your ad up on television, and people were still watching essentially 4 or 5 channels. Matter of fact, I think it was 1992, Springsteen came out with a song called 57 Channels and Nothing On. 57 channels seems very far away, I think, today. Now you can have 57 different platforms and then some. So, and I think that's the key, is that video has really moved from the 30-second commercial to now an ad can be whatever length you want it to be. Because it's so easy to share and it's so easy to help motivate people to share. Still the 15 and 30-second ads tend to dominate the landscape and probably will for the foreseeable future. But the biggest change, I think, in video is that it's moved out of a format of just a 30-second spot that goes on TV that has to be produced in a studio. None of those things are true anymore.
That's a great point about the changes in video, right? One of the things that continues to happen in the industry is the difference between obviously linear TV and digital video. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two and then how they complement each other and then when they differ a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question. I think a lot of stuff is still unanswered on that, but some of the big differences, obviously linear television is your broadcast, your cable, and the way it's measured is uniform. It has a deep history. I think some people can think that it's been, the numbers are a little inflated maybe, but generally speaking, linear television has this one system, whereas once you get into the streamings and programmatics and all that, they all have the different way of quantifying it. The diversity of how they quantify it still comes back to the fact that you can quantify it at a whole nother level. You can see whether or not people are watching it fully through, whether or not they're interacting with it, they're having conversations about it. There's so much more data that you could get back and can inform how you're doing your campaign and possibly even future videos. And then you can also micro target. That's a loaded term, I think, and so maybe I shouldn't even use it. You can sub-target. You can go after specific groups with a type of ad that might more reflect their values and positions. And so that is the biggest difference between the two. But really, I think what we sometimes miss a lot in political campaigns is that our competition for eyes and ears has less to do with our opponent and more to do with the 5, 6, 7,000 messages the average person's receiving a day. It's so distorted and confusing and overloading to most Americans out there that getting through to them becomes important, not just with a good quality ad, but the way you present it in different segments, so that they're really getting a little bit more surround sound in the terms of what you're trying to say to them. And that's where the linear and the nonlinear kind of play really well together. Because if you've got a little bit of cable and you've got them on digital, they're going to do much better than just one or the other medium.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think really when you use both mediums, you can tell a fuller story to whoever you're targeting, right? And you can tell a fuller story about the things that they care about the things that they value, right? And you can really, really dive into there. And that's I think that's where they become complementary and beneficial to both the campaign and the folks who are voting. So I couldn't agree more with you on that one. So with that in mind, how can campaign make best use of videos these days?
Well, I'd actually pivot right off of what you just said, because that is really the key, is that campaigns got to stop thinking in terms of just putting their one ad out. And you still need the ad, and it's what we do, and I think we're a part of that solution. But you can also have ads that are something you might do in-house, something you might have captured live, and maybe the audio is not great, maybe the video is not even that great, but they can still be turned into an ad. And you can tell a much deeper, richer story about who you are and what you're about, and connect with your audience on multiple levels. So it doesn't, the biggest thing is it doesn't just have to be the one spot. It needs to be multiple spots. And you need to be thinking in terms of, how can I produce a lot of content and quality across the board so that I can tell these stories in different ways?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add there is consistently be creating that content, right? I think a lot of campaigns have a video coming right at launch, but then no video till GOTV time, right? And then during GOTV time, it's 30 videos right across the board. So how do we make sure that we're consistently telling that story throughout the campaign? I think is something that is very important, right? Especially across mediums. So that way, once we connect with folks at the beginning, we can keep that connection going and even use it to organize them as the campaign goes on. I think that's the one thing that I would add there. But with kind of what you said in mind, what would you think are the 3 things like campaigns can do to use video effectively this cycle?
Yeah, I mean, way more than 3 things, but we'll keep it short. I think, getting into way more, it's being varied and going back to what you were saying earlier. If you come out of left field with your ad every once in a while, your one video every once in a while, the voter or the target audience has moved on from your conversation, and then they've got to get reacclimated to what you're trying to say, what you're trying to talk about. So you want to be thinking about how you can constantly produce stuff. And look, phones these days, most phones can do a great job. You can also buy some pretty inexpensive camera equipment that might even do a slightly better job, adding a microphone, adding some small lighting. I think post-COVID, everybody's got that. So I would think about terms of your video, like, what is your infrastructure? Campaigns will hire a field director, they'll hire finance directors, and they'll put together lists and scripts and all that. You should be doing the same with your video shop, and have somebody that's what they do, and then working with your consultancy. Hopefully it's Do Big Things, but whoever it might be, you want to work with them in terms of getting the content and sharing the content and talking about what's in it, so that it's quickly and easily accessible to everybody, so that we can use both the main shoot as well as this little sub-genre of shoots that you're going to do along the way, to help build a robust environment. And then think about the platform you're putting it on. Facebook has a slightly different structure to it than Instagram, than which I know they're owned, but they are different, and then TikTok, or to the streaming platforms. And you got to start thinking about captions and so forth, and click-throughs, and whether or not you put QR codes on there. So think about the platform that you're on when you're actually going in to produce the video, and give yourself the options. With that said, my one rule of advice is never shoot this way, always shoot this way. We can do more with it that way.
All right, so let me recap that. Number one, let's do varied content, like right across the board. Number two, let's go ahead and have an internal kind of content capture infrastructure, right? Number three, work with your consultants to make sure that that content is being shared across both teams so you can do more of it with, right? Number four, take the platform into account. And the pro tip is always shoot horizontal. Did I miss anything there?
No, you nailed it, as usual.
Fair enough. Well, Dean, thank you very much for joining us. And to the rest of you, thank you for watching the latest installment of Do Big Talks. If you have any topics that you'd like us to touch on, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And in the meantime, stay tuned for future episodes. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.